What's up, guys? I am out here at the house. As you can see behind me, a lot's happened. We have flooring. Now you may say, you have flooring but you don't have paint. What's the deal? Well, the deal is I don't like quarter round. Never have. I think it looks cheap. I don't know, a rental property, when I see it, that sounds bad, but it's just, I don't think quarter round belongs in a custom house. That's just my honest opinion. So what we do is I do not do baseboards. As you can see, there's not baseboards behind me. And so after flooring, so that my baseboards butt right up against the flooring, and there's no need for quarter round. Because quarter round is typically used to mine the gap between the flooring and the baseboard. Well, if there's no gap between the flooring and the baseboard, you don't need it. Now you still have to do it around the cabinets, obviously, because the cabinets, the flooring, never sit your cabinets on flooring, by the way. Always have your floor installers just butted up against the cabinets. Leave a little 1/4 inch expansion gap. But you have to do quarter round around the cabinets, obviously, otherwise there's going to be a gap between your kick plate or your toe kick and the flooring. But all that to say, my painters didn't really want to have to paint the whole house, and then we'll do floor, and then I'll hang baseboard, and they have to come back and paint baseboard. They would rather be able to do the entire house, meaning baseboard and everything. Well, in order for them to paint baseboard, we have to have floors down. So I know that's a lot of words and kind of confusing maybe, but essentially we got heat turned on, got my power poles moved, got all that run. So we went ahead and laid floored. We did put plastic under it. The entire house is this LVP. We put, I forget the millage, but plastic down, vapor barrier. It's nice flooring. It's really good, high quality stuff. I think it looks really, really nice. There's no lights turned on in the house, obviously, so it's kind of hard to see it, but it's really wide plank. Anyways, good stuff. And this stuff goes throughout the house except for the bedrooms. My carpet got delivered. Actually, I'll show you that. But we're not doing carpet until after the painters. And you say, well, wait a sec. How are you doing that? There's all my carpet. Garage is kind of a mess right now. I've still got some baseboard trim right here. Got my toilets, my water heater, an extra door that they're coming to pick up. My carpet pads, my carpet, water heater, generator, saw, fun stuff going on out here. So you say, well, wait a sec. If you're not doing carpet till after your baseboard, then there will be a gap and you'll have to do quarter round. No, I thought that. But after talking with my carpet installer, he had a great idea. So you can see I've got baseboard preliminarily set in this room. It's not nailed yet. He said if I shim it up a 1/2 inch from the slab, then he will put the tack strip under the baseboard and can get that carpet to mount right up against the baseboard to where there'll be a seamless transition from carpet to 1x6 baseboard. So again, no need for quarter round. So that's what I'm out here doing now. I'm trying to finish baseboard today, which is gonna be a stretch. I got a slow start this morning, but I wanna get this done. You can see they got my built-ins too, right there. Because I want these painters to come and get done. And then once the painters are done, we're gonna be so close. We'll get countertops next week. We'll get trim outs, hang ceiling fans, light fixtures, set toilets, faucets, all that fun stuff. And we'll be in this house. So I'm holding up the painters at this point. So I'm gonna grind it out tonight, get this baseboard mounted. You can see this isn't the most simple baseboard job because there's some angles. There's angles on these doors. There's some weird spots. There's some really tiny, really tiny spots. None of this is nailed, by the way. I'm just getting it all pre-fitted. These are 22-degree angles, which is just half of a 45. It's actually 22.5 degrees. I will show you how to figure that out, but honestly, typically in generic type construction, not super custom, if it's not a 45 or a 90 degree, it's going to be a 22.5. So that's kind of just a good guess. That's kind of a typical trim construction thing, is to have either all 45s or all 22.5s. So yeah, we're about to start working our way into the living room. I got that bedroom done. I got this bedroom done, working our way here. So we're making progress, slowly but surely. trying to get my videos made before it gets dark out here. Still grinding away, trying to get this baseboard done for the painters. Hopefully coming tomorrow. Let me show you what I've learned about this base. Not only the 45s and the 25.5-degree angles. As far as doing this by yourself, I usually have somebody with me, which is very helpful. I'll have a guy just taking measurements, hollering them to me in the garage. I'll cut it, he'll come get it, and it's just boom, 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 one at a time, quick. I'm doing this by myself, and I started doing it like that: measure one, cut one, mount one, measure one, cut one, mount one. No, I don't want to walk that much. So what I decided to do is do it a room at a time. Go in the room, measure every single stretch of baseboard for the closet, whatever is in there. Write it down, then come out, make all those cuts, then take them in. Now, how do you quickly and coherently scribe that down is difficult, because you want to know the length of the board, you want to know the angles on both ends of the board that you need, and then you need to know the orientation. Are you measuring to the short butt of the angle or the long point of the angle? I'll show you what I mean. So right here on my saw, this is a angle of 45. I'm calling this the butt. It's the short end. See right there? And this is the point. That's the tip, whatever you want to call it. That's what that is. You need to know which way it's oriented. So see, this one has parallel angles, 45s. And you need to know when you measure before you cut which way those angles are oriented. So here's what I'm doing. This looks like absolute just a mess, and I get that. That's the first 3 bedrooms that I did. But here's what this means. Let's take this bottom number. I need a board that is 43 5/8 inches long, and that is the tip of a 45 to a 90. That one, or just that line, means there's no angle. It's just a 90-degree flat end. This one, I need 44-inch board, 90-degree to the tip of a 45. Now this one is a 3.5-inch board, 90-degree flat end to the short of a 22-degree angle. And that's how I'm doing. Flat to the tip of a 45. If I don't dictate a angle, it's a 45. But I always specify my 22s because those are special and there's less of them. And I want to make sure I get those right. That's how I figured it out. You experienced trim carpenters or framers are going to laugh at this. But literally, this is my entire living room and hallway. All my measurements. So I can sit out here at the saw, cut, knock her out, move on to the next room. No questions asked. These numbers should be, if not perfect, very, very, very close. What's up, everybody? I'm actually sitting here in my office doing some editing for the next video that's going to come out. But I wanted to go over a couple of things that I learned. I didn't get nearly as much footage of the trimming the house as I wanted to, mostly because I'm in a time crunch. Both because my painters were waiting on me to finish trimming to come and start. By the way, if your cabinets and your trim are not 100% done, do not be asking your painters to come. My painters came prior to trim being 100% done and did a few little things for about a half a day, and then they left and they just called me and they said, look, there's no point in us starting yet, because when we start, we want the entire house to ourselves. We don't want anybody else in there, because that's going to help us do it quickly and efficiently, which I totally understand. So that's my bad, and I've done that on past projects as well. The painting stage to me is the hardest because they have to have the house to themselves. It takes a decent amount of time, and if things are not ready for them, it can complicate scheduling. But thankfully, they're out there today working. They have the house to themselves. Trim's done, cabinets are done, quarter rounds done, all that fun stuff. But something else I learned on this job in particular, it's something simple and it's stupid, and I don't know why I haven't figured it out until now. But when you are installing baseboard, what I typically do is I'll lay a piece of baseboard down against the wall, and then I'll pull a tape from one corner and mark every 16 inches on center on the baseboard, because that should land 8.5 times out of 10 where a stud is. Should. Now, that doesn't always work because you don't know which side of the wall the framer started building on. And they obviously pull a tape from one side, and then it lays out 16 on center. By the way, on your tape measure, I don't have one with me, but there's the red numbers are 16 on center. So you don't have to do the math. You don't have to figure it. If it's red, at least on my tapes, that means it's 16-inch increments. That's great, but it's another step. You have to pull your tape out. You have to hook it. You have to make sure it's straight. Then you have to pencil mark the baseboard. So it's not ideal. But something I figured out, actually, my father-in-law was out there helping me, and he said, why don't you just look for where the drywall screws are? And I thought, that's brilliant. And again, that's something stupid that I feel like I should have figured out fairly quickly, but that helps. So you don't have to mark it at all. Because what happens is you can see through the texture of your drywall and see where the tape and mud lines are. Well, where there is tape and mud, there is a seam of 2 pieces of drywall. Where there's a seam of drywall, there's a stud because they screw the drywall to the studs. So when you're looking at the wall and figuring out where you want to know your baseboard, you want it to grab a stud so it sucks it tight to the wall and holds it firm. Just nail it in line with that tape seam of the drywall, and it works great. So that's just something simple that I thought, you know what, that's really handy to know. And for other things as well. Now, obviously, once you paint the wall, you can't see that seam anymore. But for hanging things, figuring out exactly where stud layout is, that's a really quick, easy tool to put in your toolkit to be able to know that, especially for trimming and for baseboard.